Welcome to SparkMap. SparkMap is built and run by a team of data analysts, programmers, and GIS technicians who collect, clean, and aggregate data from reliable secondary sources. We make these data available through two powerful tools, the Community Needs Assessment and MapRoom. Need to build a community needs assessment or gather more data about your community? Use SparkMap to spend less time researching and more time implementing positive change. The following video will provide examples of how you can use SparkMap. To keep up with SparkMap, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and social media accounts.
Webinar is about the Beta Map Room, but what is the Beta Map Room? Beta Map Room is an updated version of our current map room. You can access it by clicking the yellow Beta Map Room button at the top of SparkMap. And for anybody who has not visited SparkMap before, you can type in www.sparkmap.org to get to our website, and then again, click that yellow Beta Map Room button to navigate to the new map room. So this map room is going to contain all of the same data and tools as our current map room, but it is also updated with several new features to enhance your experience building and customizing maps. So one thing to note is that we cannot yet upload data or save maps created in this beta map room, but these features are forthcoming. Now, eventually this map room is going to replace the existing SparkMap map room, but don't worry, we're going to keep the existing map room and the beta map room up together for a while before we make this transition. And we will send out a lot of communications before that transition goes into place. So if you're not, be sure to be signed up for our newsletter so you receive updates on when that transition is going to occur. And at the end, I can walk us through how to sign up for newsletter updates. And so with that, let's dive in. So again, we've navigated to the beta map room by clicking that button in our navigation bar. For those of you who are familiar with the existing map room, you'll notice right away that this one has a very different look and feel. But we are going to get started much in the same way that we usually do, and that is by adding data to our map. But before we do that, right now, I do want to highlight a new feature, which is an enhanced base map library. So to close out this data portal, I'm going to click this Add Data button and remove that tab for a second so I can show this off. Then I'm going to click these 4 boxes here at the bottom right to look at our base maps. And then I'm going to scroll with my mouse to look at our base map collection, and I'm going to click a map to add it to my screen here. And so as you can see, we have several different base maps to choose from. So just another way in which you can customize your maps. To get rid of our base map selection options, I'm going to click this little box with the arrows on the bottom right, and it is going to collapse again. So now I'm going to get back over to where we add our data by clicking the Add Data button on the left-hand side. Now, there are a couple different ways we can add data to our map. 2 ways that are new is to select from recently added data and from most used data. So the recently added data list is going to be data that the SparkMap team has either recently added to the map room or recently updated. Then the most used data list is going to be a list of the most used data on SparkMap. Now, I should also back up for a second for anybody who's new and tell you a little bit about the data that we have available in this map room. The map room holds approximately 30,000 data layers. These data come from national secondary sources like the American Community Survey from the U.S. Census Bureau, the U.S. Census Bureau itself, CDC, HRSA, HUD, and more. And so to explore these layers, we can browse by topic. So for example, if I was looking for data on education attainment, I can click Browse by Topic, click education, attainment, and all students. And then all layers related to education attainment are going to appear in a list here. And as you can see, we have quite a lot. Something to note is that we have up-to-date data, and we also keep historic data as well. And so we will talk a bit more about that and about drawing comparisons over time later in the webinar. Now, if I wanted to browse by a specific source, what I can do is I can unselect browse by topic, select browse by source, and let's say I am interested in looking at broadband data from the FCC. I can scroll down, and here you can see we have a list of all of our data providers for our map room. And I'm going to find the FCC. I have FCC Fabric data and FCC Rural Digital Opportunity Fund data. I'm going to click Fabric, and I have my nice drop down of all of the Fabric data that we have available here. Now, let's say I am actually interested in broadband data just in general, regardless of the source. I can scroll back up here, deselect browse by source, and then I'm going to type in the keyword broadband. Note that with our keyword search, we recommend using 1 or 2 word keywords like housing, poverty, and let's see, medical insurance, things of that nature. And so if you do put in a longer strand of words, you might not get data returned, even when we do have the data that you're looking for. So keep it to those nice short broadband, housing, etc. So I'm going to click my blue search bar to search my broadband data. As you can see, that returned 131 data sets. We can click the arrow to scroll from page to page of results. But for right now, I'm going to keep us on page 1. And I am interested in this households with any broadband layer right here. That's from the American Community Survey from 2018 to 2022, which is our most recent release. Now, if I wanted to learn more about this data before adding it to my map, I can click the I button beside our layer name. And then this layer info pane is going to appear. It's going to tell me about the release date, the data type, the geographies at which this data is available, and then it's going to provide a lot of nice information on my data source. Then to get rid of this pop-up, I can either re-click my I button, or I can click this arrow button to collapse. And so I'm going to do that. And let's go ahead and add this layer to our map. Now, as you can see, a little view legend button has appeared now that I've added this data. And so I'm going to click that button and navigate to my legend. And so now that I have added some data to my map, I am going to zoom into a location of interest. So let's say we want to look at households with any broadband in Morgan County, Alabama. And so I'm going to type Morgan County into the search bar at the bottom right corner of my page. And as you can see, a list of results has populated, and I'm going to select my result of interest here. Now with the search bar, you can search states, counties, addresses, zip codes, cities and towns, and it is going to get you where you need to go. And again, I typed there and then hit my little magnifying glass to get my search to appear. And so now I am zoomed into Morgan County, Alabama. If I want to zoom out a little bit, I can use my plus and minus buttons on the bottom right corner of the screen. And so I clicked that minus button to zoom out. I can also use my mouse to zoom in and out. And I am doing that now. And as you can see, it gives me a nice, incremental zoom. So we have our map here of Morgan County, Alabama. We can see that around 80 to 83% of our households in Morgan County have some broadband access, right? But, if I am looking for community level data, this information might not be granular enough, right? So if I am in one of these towns like Hartselle or Priceville that is a little larger, my amount of households there might have more broadband access to some of these more rural areas in the South, such as Falkville, Alabama. And so to make this map a bit more granular, what we are going to do is move back over here to our legend panel. And beside the geography heading, I am going to click the drop down and select a more granular geography. For this one, I am going to look at my data by zip code. And it's going to take a second. And now we have a much more interesting map to look at here. As you can see, our assessment was correct. We have a higher percentage of households in these areas like Hartselle, Alabama, Priceville, Alabama, that have broadband access. And in our more rural area, that amount is lower. If we wanted to know the specific percentages, what we can do is click on our map. So I'm going to click the zip code here. Our pop-up is going to appear that gives us our total households with any broadband and our percentage of households with any broadband. It's also going to give you the just overall total. And with this pop-up, something nice we can do in this new map room is pin it to the side of our map. So we can now look at our legend, our mapping area, and our data pop-up all at the same time. And so I can move down here to our Falkville zip code. And as we can see, only about 70% of our households in this area have any broadband. And so we have approximately 30% of our households in this zip code that do not have broadband access, right? So a couple of different things we can do to explore this map. I can get rid of my pop-up by clicking the X button at the top right corner of the pop-up. I can add labels to my map by clicking the label button right here. And now our percentages for every zip code on our map are going to appear right there. I can remove my labels. I can change my data type. And so in addition to percentages, we have totals. If I clicked this total button, a new map would load. And I can also look at data from different time periods. And so if I wanted to look at our data from 2014 to 2018, I can click this button here and my map is going to reload. And now we have that older data there at the click of a button. I'm going to go back now to my 2018 to 2022 data. And then something else I want to highlight really quickly is that we can manage our reference layers very easily in this new map room. So right here, I'm going to toggle our Manage Reference Layers section on. And now, as you can see, a few new layers have been added to our legend. I can add our highways to my map. I can and they are going to be buried under that layer. Let's see, a better one here is I'm going to add county boundaries. And so if we zoom out here, we can see that now we have a nice thick outline around Morgan County. I can also add labels. So I can click my label button to now label all of my counties. And I will get rid of that label. And if I want to remove anything like my water or my state boundaries, I can do that at the click of a button. Now to hide these reference layers again, I am just going to toggle this Manage Reference Layers off. And we are back to our map. Now, for anybody who is familiar with our current map room, you know that we can add multiple layers to our map at once. And so looking at this map, I am interested in particular in some of my areas that have lower percentages of households with any broadband, right? And so as I am thinking about these, I am curious as to whether households in these locations might also not have access to important physical amenities, such as, let's say primary care physicians' offices. So if my community doesn't have a local doctor's office, and a lot of my community members also don't have the digital infrastructure that they need to support access to things like telehealth services, then we have a very big need, right, for broadband expansion, for increased in-person medical services, or ideally both. And so let's look at our location that has a lower percentage of households with any broadband and add some data on primary care providers to this map. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to click the Add Data button in my left menu. As you can see, it returns us to our broadband search. I'm going to click the X here to clear that. And I am going to type in my compound search word, primary care. Then I will click my magnifying glass. And as you can see, we have 98 data sets related to primary care. And I am going to select our primary care physicians data that was released in April 2024. I'm going to click the checkbox beside the layer name to add it to my map. And then I'm going to click that View Legend button to view my legend. And as you can see, we now have a map of primary care physicians. A few things to note with this map. One is that I can click my I button again over here in our legend box, and it's going to show us that nice pop-up that we were looking at earlier that gives you a data description, release cycle, data unit, and more. Again, I can get rid of that pop-up by clicking my I button or by clicking the arrow button beside the pop-up. Now, kind of as we were afraid, over here in Falkville, Alabama, where we have a high percentage of households without any broadband, we also do not have any primary care physicians. And so if I wanted to explore this further, I could look at additional data that we have available in SparkMap, right? I could look at data on households without a motor vehicle from the American Community Survey. And I could also look at the FCC's broadband funding data. In particular, I could look at data on areas that have low broadband and no current funding and see how my area is doing there. But for now, instead of diving into more and more data related to this case, I want us to focus more on ways in which we can use the beta map room to get more information from this map. So one feature that I want to be sure that we are all aware of is going to be the Select Data tool. This is a tool that's going to allow us to export data from our map as a CSV. And so to get to that tool, we are going to click the Tools button on the left side of our page. And then we are going to click Select Data. Now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and select the map layer that I want to pull data from. In this case, let's grab data on our primary care physicians. Now note, in this map, I could have clicked on any of these dots. I'm not going to do it now since I'm in the Select Data tool, but I could have clicked any of these points on my map, and the pop-up that appeared for these polygon layers would appear for one of these points as well. And it would tell me the name of the primary care physician represented by this dot and give me the address for their place of practice. To get this data all in one pool, though, I can select it using one of these tools. So we can select by rectangle, polygon, lasso, or radius. I'm going to start by getting us to select by radius. So I know from previous experience, if I clicked over here in Falkville, Alabama, and entered a 5-mile radius, it would not touch any of these dots. So let's do a 12-mile radius. We can alter our unit of measurement here. So I could measure by meters, kilometers, etc., if I so chose. But we're going to keep it at miles. And then we are going to, well, that was not supposed to happen. This is a reminder and maybe a good opportunity to bring up to you all that, this map room is a beta map room. It has been through thorough testing, and but improvements will continue to be made before this map room replaces our current map room in the future. We have a feedback button over on the left side of this map room that you can click, and it will provide us with your feedback instantaneously. And so if you are ever using the select data tool or any other tool, or just having some difficulties, or saying, man, I wish the map room was able to do this, let us know with this feedback form. Now I am going to select by radius, hit 10, hit enter. It is not going to cooperate with me. I used this tool 45 minutes ago. So instead, we're going to select by polygon. We're going to pivot. To select by polygon, we are going to click and begin drawing on our map. Note that any zip code that my drawing touches is going to be included in our data export. And as I am drawing my polygon here and touching all the zip codes from which I want data, I will let you guys know that I am going to reach out to our mapping team about that select by radius tool, and it will be back up and running by the end of the day. If this is a tool that any of you have interest in, I will show you all where to find our support email address as well, and you can reach out for a demo, and we are always happy to jump on a call and help you. So as you can see, after I drew my polygon, I double clicked to close my shape, and all of the physicians that were within my selected area have now been highlighted purple. Now what I can do is I can click this view data button to view a list of all of the physicians that were in my area that I selected there. Then I can click my download data button that is over here in the left or up here in the top right, and it is going to allow me to download this list as a CSV. And so this is a really handy tool for extracting data from your map. I'm going to click my clear result button, and really quickly, since that last one was a little clunky, we will also select data from our other layer as well, so we can be sure we got a good grasp on how to do that. So I selected my drop down to select another layer to demo here. We're doing households with any broadband. Then I will select by polygon once again. I am going to draw my shape by clicking and dragging. There we go. Touching all the zip codes from which I want data, double clicking to close my shape. And here we have all of the zip codes that I touched have now been highlighted. I can click my view data button to view all of my selected data. So it's going to give me data on our total households with any broadband and our percentage of households with any broadband for all of the zip codes I selected. And now we can click to download this data as a CSV. Now to clear this pop-up, I can click my arrow button here, and I can clear my results by clicking the clear results button here. Now, in addition to the ability to just mass extract data from these maps, we also have the ability to ask questions of the data in our maps, and we can do that using the query tool. Now, to access this query tool, I am going to click my back to tool list button, and then I am going to select query data. Now, we can look at households with any broadband once more, and then I'm going to select my field of interest from the drop-down. So this field is going to be the topic about which I want to ask my questions. And so I'm going to select percentage of households with any broadband. I'm going to select less than, and I am interested in any zip codes with less than 72% of households with any broadband. Then I'm going to click my Run Query button. And now we can see on our map all of our locations, all of our zip codes in this area with less than 72% of households with any broadband have been highlighted. And just like with that select data tool, we can view this data and we can download it and we can clear our results here. So we talked a little bit about those two tools that allow us to extract more information from our maps. Let's talk about a couple of tools that help us kind of prep our maps for presentation purposes. So I'm going to click this tool list button to go back to my list of tools again. And the first tool that I want to highlight for us all is this mask tool. So I clicked my tool name. And what this is going to allow us to do is to highlight a specific area on your map for presentation. And so I'm going to select the geography that I would like to mask. Let's go ahead and start with a county. And so I can click Morgan County and it is going to appear on my map. I can adjust the opacity of my mask so that my background shows up a bit more or a bit less. And I can make my mask a bit more granular. For example, I will select a zip code, and then I can select a few zip codes of interest. If I accidentally select a zip code that I didn't mean to add, I can click the little trash can icon beside that zip code name to remove it from my map. Now note that when I exit my tools, my mask is going to remain. And if I click my legend button over here at the top left, we now have a new layer added to our legend called mask layer. We can click our map button here above the mask layer title to remove the mask from our map or to re-add it. We can also delete the mask layer entirely from right here by clicking the ... button and then clicking remove layer. I'm going to actually keep it though to show us that we can go back to tools by clicking that tools button, go back to our mask tool, and then also click the trash can icon beside mask layer. So in addition to our mask tool, I also want to highlight our draw graphics tool really quickly. So with this tool, it's going to allow you to draw points, circles, rectangles, polygons, and much, much more right onto your map. And so in order to do this, first we are going to select the color that we want to draw with. I'm going to slide over to a nice pink, and I can slide my little circle within this to get my pink of choice. I'm going to go up and select, let's do a rectangle. And then as I'm hovering my mouse, you'll see that a little box has appeared beside my cursor that tells me how to draw my shape. So for my rectangle, it's telling me to click and drag to start drawing and release to stop. And so that is what I'll do. Those instructions will appear for any of your shapes. So again, I can select my color and click and drag to draw my arrows. I can draw freehand lines and get really creative here. But for the sake of time, we will leave it at some boxes and arrows. To clear my drawings from my map, all I have to do is select my little eraser icon, and it's going to ask me if I'm sure that I want to clear. If I wanted to just remove my most recently added drawing, I can click my back button right here. And so now I will clear everything from our map. Now we have several tools available here. We have the ability to generate walk scores. We have the ability to measure coordinates, paths, and shapes on our maps. And we have a really nice suite of footprint tools that if we have some time at the end, and I'm not sure we will, we can walk through them really briefly. But the last tool that I want to demo for you all right now is the swipe layer tool. To demo this tool, I'm actually going to slightly change up our map. So to change our map, I'm going to navigate back to our legend by clicking the legend button here at the top left. And then I am going to create a copy of this layer that I have up on my map right now. So to do that, I am going to click the dot, dot, dot button at the top right corner of my layer. And then I'm going to click copy layer. Now, as you can see, we have two households with any broadband layers added to our map. Now, with one of these, I am going to change my time period from 2018 to 2022 to 2014 to 2018. I'm selecting this one so that there are not overlapping time periods in my selection, or not dramatically overlapping. So if I wanted to view my 2014 to 2018 data, because right now my 2018 to 2022 is stacked on top of it, I can click my arrow button here and drag and drop to reorder. However, an easier way to kind of slide back and forth between two layers is to utilize that swipe layer tool. And so I'm going to go back over here to my tools by clicking this button on the left-hand side. And then I'm going to select swipe layer. Now, this looks a little funny, but we will get it looking good here in just a second. There are a few steps that we're going to take. Now, first, we're going to select our swipe of choice. Right now, our swipe layer is sliding up and down on not the layers we wanted to view. I want to slide back and forth, so I'm going to select horizontal swipe. Now, I'm going to fix these map layers. Over here on the right, we are looking at our 2014 to 2018 data. I actually want to look at 2018 to 2022 over here. Then I am going to change my map layer over here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to look at my 2014 to 2018. And now what I can do is grab my bar over here in the middle, and I can slide back and forth. So right now we are viewing on the left-hand side our 2014 to 18, and then I can slide my bar and see our 2018 to 2022 data. And as we can see, in this area, we have had some significant broadband expansion, especially over here. It is perhaps better demonstrated for this area if we go up a bit, and I lost my bar. I'm going to go back to my horizontal swipe over here. Into Madison County, Alabama. But as you can see, when we slide left to right, we can really see the change that has occurred in that community. So to remove our swipe, we're going to simply click our Back to Tool List button. And now we are back to all of our options. Now, whenever my map is ready to export, I am going to get my, there we go, my primary care physicians back there. We can click our export button. We can select if we want to export our map only or if we want to export our map alongside a legend. We can give a title to our export, and then we can select our export format. Note for any of you that might be incorporating maps into visualizations created through the Adobe tools. When we export our map only, we are able to export into our EPS and SVGs, which is a new feature. Something else to note, which is pretty neat, as I export my maps, my export files are going to save right here in a list, except my my own broadband may not be, there we go, in a list on your export screen right here. And so you don't have to fish around to find your exports. You can just click your button here to access them. Now, if I wanted to share a link of my map, I can click the share button at the bottom left, and I can share via email or via social media at the click of a button. I can also click this button to copy my map link to clipboard. And then you can share your link to your map in a Teams chat or a Google Doc or in a text with your friends, and they can open up the map and begin exploring it on their own. Now, I already highlighted this feedback button over here on the bottom left, but one last time, I am going to click that button for us all so we can see that. You can type your comments about how much you love the new map room right here, or feel free to include any suggestions for improvement. And then you can add your email address. I actually do think that we have a little bit of time, and so I may, before showing you how to exit our map room and how to find a few resources on SparkMap, I am going to jump back to our tools very quickly. And I want to show off our vulnerable populations footprint tool and show us what this looks like in the new mapping environment. So I am going to click vulnerable populations footprint. And here we go. And it has added to the bottom of my map. So I am going to click and drag and drop and drag and drop one more time. There we go. Note that a streamlined version of this drag and drop is in the works. Again, beta map room. And so as we can see, our areas where our population is below the poverty level is going to be highlighted in orange here. Our locations with where 25% of the population has less than a high school diploma is going to be highlighted in purple. That poverty level, it's where 20% of the population is below the federal poverty level. Now, our red areas are going to be locations where these two thresholds overlap. We can adjust our ranges here if we so chose. And so what this is doing, right, especially with our red areas, it is showing us locations where our population might be particularly vulnerable. We are going to click this quick report button to generate a report based on our map that we see here. And we can slide through and learn a bit more about our footprint area of our map that we've just created. So we can get data on our total population, a bit of information on population demographics, and then a bit more information on those indicators of vulnerability that we were looking at over here. And if we wanted to download this report, we can click this download as a PDF button right here, and this report would download for you. Now, note that this tool and the other footprint tools are incredibly robust and not done much justice in a quick 3-minute video. And so if any of you ever has any questions about these tools and how to best utilize them for your community, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you for learning more about SparkMap. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via the contact form on sparkmap.org. Don't forget to subscribe.